Hi, this is Anand from designtheway.com. Today we are going to learn how to add custom transition effect in your Elementor pop-up. Excited to learn? Let's get right into it. Today I am going to show you a portion of a real project that I got from a client. Among the various requirements, he had this particular requirement. This is the reference ID chose. He wanted this particular slide in transition effect. When I click on this, say this, a beautiful slide in transition effect. Now once you close this, it just fade away. He didn't want the image fade out effect. His specific requirement was this slide in effect. But in Elementor, this site is using GSAP, as you can see from here. So let's say it once more. Slide in, then click slide out. So let's see how we can do this in Elementor. Let's close this first. I'm in the dashboard. So I'm going to create this effect on this particular page. Let's open the page. On the About Us page, where we have this team members. So for this purpose, I've created a couple of pop-ups. Let's go to templates and click on pop-ups. This is the pop-up, team pop-up 1, team pop-up 2. Let's quickly check the settings. Click on edit with Elementor. First of all, for this image, I have a 2-column section. For this image, I'm using a simple rotate in up left effect, and for this entire section, go to advanced, just slide in right. Okay, this is the very basic settings. And for the pop-up, I'm using 100% width, fit to screen, and the styles, I've set the background to white. And in the advanced section, I've named this pop-up as team pop-up. This is the CSS class we are going to use later on. And I've closed this prevent closing on overlay and prevent closing on escape. I've turned them on. So these are the basic settings for the pop-up. Let's close this. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Let's open it again. Let's open this. I've turned off overlay and close button. Why? You will get to know later. So let's close this. And now let's close this one too. Now let's edit this page and scroll down. Let's open this team member. And the content part, I've added this pop-up. As you can see, this is the team 1 pop-up, and I've attached the second pop-up to this one. To show you, I'm just going to add 2 pop-ups in these 2 members. I'm not going to work on this other team members right now. Another thing, I will add unique ID to each members. Let's go to advanced. This is the class ID I'm using, team 1, and for this one it is team 2. You need to add unique CSS ID. Now for this page, I'm using a custom header. Let's click on. This is the same header that I used for another tutorial, that revealing pop-up effect. You can check that by clicking on this eye icon. Here I've added this close button. This close button will work as the close button for pop-up. Why I've done that, I've explained that in the previous video. You can check that out for more details. Just to show you the structure, I've added a separate section, and that's where I've added this button, and I've hidden this contact button. It was used in the previous tutorial, so it's not needed over here. So these are the basic settings. Now let's check the page, how the pop-up is working at the moment. Let's click. This is how the pop-up is working. You can see the close button, but it's not working right now. The only way to close this right now is to refresh the page. And I forgot to mention that I have not added any triggers or anything. Let me show you. Go to pop-up. Let's edit with Elementor. First thing, there is no animation added over here. It's set to default. And the condition, I've not added any condition, trigger, or advanced rules. So this was all the basic settings I'm using. The first thing, we need to add an overlay, a layer that will cover the entire page once we click on this pop-up. For this, let's go to edit with Elementor once again. Let's scroll down. I will add a section over here. And from the widget, I will use this HTML tag widget. And over here, I will add this code, a div with class name overlay. Okay, and in the column settings, let's select this. I'll set the column gap to no gap, so it doesn't create any extra spacing. And in the HTML again, let's go to advanced. Let's go to custom CSS. I will add this CSS. I will add a background color similar to this blue color, and they set the height to 100%, width to 100%, using the position as fixed. And I'm using a very high Z index so that it stays above everything. Left, I've set it to 100%, so it's not visible over here at the moment. And the top is top to 0. Let's see if I turn off this left right now, what happens. As you can see, the overlay layer is showing up. Okay, now let's update the page. Now let's close this and refresh it. Now what we need to do, once we click on this item, the overlay layer should come first, then the pop-up. But currently if you click on this, the pop-up is showing instantly. Now let's refresh the page. That's the only way to close it right now. Now let's do one thing. For ease of use, let's turn on the close button for the moment. Let's go to pop-up, edit with Elementor. I'm turning it on for temporarily. I will turn it off again. Save and close. Let's keep it open. Let's refresh. This close button you are seeing is coming from the header, so it's not working. This is the close button of the pop-up. Now let me show you the HTML. Let's scroll down. As we know, the pop-up HTML is located at the bottom. This is the pop-up HTML. As you can see, this is our pop-up name, our custom pop-up name that we added. So we need to target this class team pop-up. And second thing, for the content itself, let's open this. Let's use the selector. The entire section is under this one. We can target this specific class dialog lightbox message. As done in the previous tutorial, if you click on this button, as you can see, the HTML disappears. So we will not use this close button. As it disappears the HTML, we will just hide this HTML. That's why we are not using this close button. For more detailed instruction, you can follow the previous video. Let's open the HTML once again. Rather, let's select this. This is the class. Now currently, if you see the CSS over here, the display is set to flex. Okay. So what we need to do, we first need to add the overlay first, then we will display this pop-up using this team pop-up class and this dialog lightbox message. We'll control these two classes with a JS. Now let's go to the pop-up and turn off this close button. Let's update it, save and close. We are done with the pop-up. Let's close this. Now to add the JS, I'm using this custom CSS and JS plugin. This is the plugin I'm using. This is the plugin, simple custom CSS and JS. It's a free plugin. Let's go to all custom code. I will add a JS file. Let's click on add JS code. I will name it as, let's say, my.js. Let's remove this. I will add this code first. This is the JS code. Let's set the location to footer first. Everything is fine. Let me explain what is happening over here. I'm targeting the ID called team1 that we use for this particular team member, and remember we use team2 for this team member. So I'm using that team1, and if you inspect this, everything is under anchor tag. This is our ID team1 and everything is under anchor tag. So I'm targeting team1 a tag. On a click function, then I'm targeting the overlay class that will animate left to 0. If you remember, let's scroll down. If I open the overlay, this is our overlay HTML. If you see the CSS, we have set the left to 100%. If I open the reference site again, once I click on this, slides in, then there is a pause, then it goes away. Let's close this. Similar thing happened. It doesn't go away at once. It comes to the full screen, then a pause, then it goes away. So we need to add a pause. For that reason, I'm setting the left to 0 first, then using a 400 millisecond for a pause, and then again targeting the overlay, then giving another delay of 300. then animating left to minus 100%. So it comes from the right screen, covers the entire screen when the position is set to 0 left, and then again a 300 milliseconds delay, it will go to the left completely with the position set to left minus 100%. So it will give that a little pause effect. Then we are using the set timeout function where we are targeting the team popup. Remember, we added that class in a popup, and then animating to left 0, then again a 400 millisecond pause. Sorry, this is not pause, this is the duration. 400 millisecond, these are the duration, these are the delays, are the pause. Okay, so let me correct myself. This is the duration. Again we are targeting the team pop-up, then targeting this dialog lightbox message. Remember, I talked about this class in a pop-up which contains the entire pop-up. Then we are using a CSS, setting the display to flex, and the duration will be 400 milliseconds, and this entire function will have 600 milliseconds delay. Why I'm using this delay, it's explained in more detail in that previous video. To briefly explain, once we trigger the pop-up appears immediately, but we don't want that. We want the overlay to come first, then the pop-up. So that's why I'm adding a 600 milliseconds delay. Between that time our overlay will come, and then our pop-up will enter. And then I'm using a set timeout function to display our close button. This is the same close button that we used in our header. We have given an ID of close button, close btn. Let's see if you select this. This is the ID we are using, close btn. Now let's publish this. Now let's refresh it, see how it works right now. If I click on this, see, the overlay came, then the pop-up appeared. The close button will not work right now. Let's refresh this once again. Let's click once again. The overlay is coming properly, and then the pop-up is showing up. But we need to add some CSS to get this effect perfect. So let's refresh this. Let's click on customize. Click on additional CSS. Let's close this. First we need to hide this button. Currently it's showing up. We need to hide this. For this I will add this CSS, close button, close btn, display none, setting the cursor to pointer. And when we add this visible class, it will be displayed block. And for the pop-up itself, I will add this little CSS. Here I am targeting the team pop-up and setting the left position to 100% from the initial stage. And here I am using the not selector, this Elementor editor active class, just because we are using the CSS to hide the pop-up, it will affect the editor as well. That's why I'm using this not selector, so you can actually see this pop-up while you edit. Same is done over here. I'm targeting the team pop-up and dialog lightbox message and setting the display to none from initial stage. And I'm using this particular ID. I'll explain why I'm using this particular ID with the body class. For the time being, let's publish this and let's open the about us page again. And let's see how the effect is working right now. Let's click on this. Perfect, it's working perfectly. Now we need to activate this close button. For this I will add little more JS over here. Here I am targeting the close btn id. We previously added this visible class in the close button. Now we are removing this visible class, and then again we are targeting the overlay, which will animate left to 0. Remember, it we set it to -100%, so it will be back to 0%. Duration will be 400 milliseconds. Then we are adding a 300 milliseconds delay, and then we are setting the left position back to 100%, where we initially started. The duration will be 400 milliseconds. And finally, we are targeting the steam pop-up, the delay of 700. This is 400 plus 300, this is 700. Animate left to 100%. We are not setting any duration for this. And then again we are setting a timeout function, targeting this dialog light box message, and setting the display to none. We set the display to flex over here, we are setting back to none. So we are neutralizing everything with the click of this button. So let's update this. Let's see how it works. Let's click on this. Working perfectly. Let's close this. Perfect. That's how it's working over here. Click on it and close. Let's close this. Now to add the second member, what we need to do is just go to CSJS. We just need to copy this, add a comma over here, add. We'll just change the ID to 2, and we'll see the magic. Let's update. Let's refresh this. Let's click on this. Perfect. It's showing the respective pop-up. Perfect. So all you need is to add the ID over here with a comma. You need to assign ID to individual members and then just add them over here. It will work automatically. Now let me quickly explain why I'm using this page ID. Let's go to pop-up. Actually, I'm using this ID from this page. Let's see the body tag. This is the page ID I'm using to target this specific page. Okay, so let me explain why I'm using this. Let's click on edit with Elementor. Currently you can see the pop-up like this. If you click on the full view, you can see this properly. But if I don't use this class, for instance, if I remove this class, let's publish it and then again refresh the page, you will be able to see in the editor mode, but once you go in the full screen view, it will disappear. So to prevent this, I'm using this particular class over here. So as usual, I will give you all the CSS JS in the post, link in the description below. So before closing this out, let's see how it works in the responsive view. Let's open it in a incognito window. Let's scroll down. Let's click this. Working perfectly. Let's close this. Let's click on this one. working perfectly. Now let's see the responsive view. Let's click on this. Yeah, great, it's working perfectly. This one, perfect. So it's working in the responsive view as well. So this is how easily you can add custom transition effect in your Elementor pop-up. I hope you have learned something new today. If you like the video, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. If you need any help with your Elementor project, I can help you get up and running by creating your Elementor homepage. Just go to designtheway.com/get your homepage. I'll add the link in the description below. Thanks for your time. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care.